Oh my God. I feel like I've been in the twilight zone in a mix with like, I mean, at least I never went to jury, right? That's like Big Brother purgatory. So I don't know. I am just happy I went from the house to the outside world. Granted, I've heard it's better for your mental if you at least go in that purgatory, but I don't want that. I am happy. I made it to third. That's further than I expected, and I have no complaints.
So let's start with where things ended. Obviously, when you pop your key into the box, you're admitting, like, I don't know, I just kind of made this decision last second. It ultimately is for Monte. What is that reasoning that pushed you over the finish line to put that key in the box for him?
Honestly, that was 100% the worst speech anyone has ever given when they put in a key, but I am happy to own that title because, right, at least the jury had like a whole entire roundtable session and they could decide what they were going to do. And my thought was like, all right, I'm not voting against Taylor. I have no ill will towards Taylor. I love Taylor, and she didn't even vote me out of the house. So like, if I had any ill will to anyone, it would have been to Monte. But at the end of the day, I did not want to be the bitter person. And I honestly thought Monte was probably going to win. So I was like, I don't want to be the person who's all bitter because they got voted out. So I'll just, send my boy a vote. I love them both. And honestly, at the end of the day, I spent an equal amount of time with them throughout the Summer. Monte and Alyssa are like my best friends throughout the entire house. So I was like, again, I'm not mad at Monte at all for his decision. I got it. I think if he took me, he probably would have won because my jury management's so bad. But at the end of the day, I was like, I don't know. I have no time to decide. I'm just voting for someone.
Yeah, so you said that you had gotten a sense going out of the house that like Monte probably would have won. Obviously, that's not the case. Did you get a sense as to like, obviously, you didn't do a lot of communication with the jury at the time, but were you getting a sense from them that the tide was shifting perhaps away from that outcome you had assumed?
Um, Not to sound crazy, but I don't even know what that question was.
No, were you noticing anything from the jury that made you surprised about how pro
Oh,
Taylor they were?
Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. Oh my God. Yes. Well, when I was asking them to vote beforehand, I didn't know, they didn't know if they were allowed to tell me or not. So they were just like, I don't know. I was like, okay, thank you for the help, everybody. But yeah, I was surprised. I mean, I'm very happy that they were pro Taylor because Taylor played a ruthless game. Her speech summed it up like in its entirety. She was resilient. She was one of the nicest people I have ever met throughout the entire Summer. And I think I just said it. If not, I did not vote against Taylor. I just voted for my boy Monte. I don't know. I love Taylor. And I was actually surprised. I thought Monte would win almost unanimously, and that played a percentage of the reason I didn't want to be on the wrong side. So I just was specifically on the exact wrong side. Pick the wrong, pick the wrong player.
Well, when talking about Monte, you really make a choice after, after the whole Kyle incident to join up with Monte. It gets to a point where you decide, okay, I'm going to evict Alyssa to sort of ride forward with Monte and Taylor by proxy. How do you look back on that decision, considering, how close Alyssa was to you and how hurt she ended up being by the decision that you made?
Well, I thought there's like so many times in this game where I have to decide between like a personal decision and a game decision. And I feel like there's no way to balance the weight when you don't know how this whole thing is being edited. I don't know what other people are saying. I'm second guessing literally everything anyone is telling me. And like, I'm by no means a veteran at Big Brother. I've seen my fair share of seasons, but like, then again, I just don't know everyone else's perspective. So when I think that I would have taken Monte to the end. But apparently that wasn't the case. And I understand his reason, but it would have served him well to take me because I heard he would have won otherwise. But just like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in the DR again. What am I even answering?
No, it's fine. How do you look back on the whole Alyssa relationship and
Oh
the
my God.
decision you
Yeah. Sorry.
ultimately made to get rid of her?
I thought it would have been the best case scenario for me to not abandon my final two with Monte. If I told him I was going to keep our final three with Monte and Taylor and then kicked Taylor out, like it just wouldn't have served me well from my perspective. And again, Alyssa, love her. She was one of my best friends throughout the entire Summer, but she did not win a comp and I couldn't necessarily rely on her for my safety, right? I think it would have been more her relying on me for safety. I won a couple HOHs. She wasn't able to win a comp. And so I just couldn't put my eggs in that basket.
So you had three of the most eventful HOHs of the season, right? Between the
So
leftovers being formed, between the whole Kyle stuff, and then between Michael getting evicted. What's interesting is, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, some of the jury members were saying that despite that, you were still coming across as very passive when it came to strategy. Does that perception surprise you given the eventfulness of how your HOHs were?
just to be as self-aware as possible, no, because there were a lot of times where I just feel like I fell into situations. That's why I feel like I just stumbled throughout the season and did good because it's like, I don't know, like at a certain point, of course, I will happily take credit for a lot of the things, but like when the leftovers are forming, I felt like I was watching a movie. I was like, how is this forming in front of me? It was a lot of Kyle, Joseph, and Monte talking about it. And granted, I think without me making that trigger pull of putting up a mirror and backdooring her, it would not have necessarily happened. And that's when like post pack was a thing. I don't know, a ton of alliances I wasn't in. The Oasis was my only saving grace there, but that obviously was non-existent. So like, I don't even know. I think I was the second best competitor in the game at the end of the day. I think I came in second a ton of times. I won the most HOHs, tied with Michael, and then won more HOH comps than Michael because then I won the wiener comp, whatever it was. So I understand both sides. I think I did as best as I could. And if someone's perspective is that I played too passive, well, then live and let live.
Yeah, how do you look back on your game? I recall you seeing at one point in the middle of the season, you're like, I don't really know what I'm doing. But the thing about you, Turner, is that you were so like happily laissez-faire about so many things that it seemed like regardless, you were having a great time, no matter what the quality of your play style.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad you described it like that because I couldn't say it any better myself. Like I said, I feel like I fell into a lot of good situations and a lot of bad situations, and I had to balance it out. And I'm just happy to be there at the end of the day. I don't know, like there were some harder days than others, like when Alyssa got voted out and the whole blow up with Brittany happened. I don't know what's shown, so I'm just going from what I remember. That was a tough day. Being a have-not was a tough day. Jasmine's birthday was painfully boring, but like I don't know. I think that I did my best, and even when I failed, when I was in third place, I was like, well, I'm not mad. I got further than I thought. I thought there was a chance I would have been out week 1, right? So the fact that I wasn't, and I made it to jury, made it to the final 3, I can't complain.
Yeah, last thing I want to ask is obviously, you're someone who really prides himself on their social game, getting on with so many people. How do you look back on your experience leaving the house? Especially there were certain people you had to cut along the way, certain close friends. How do you look on hopefully repairing and moving on with those relationships now that you're in the outside world?
Well, getting to connect with everybody right after, right when the vote happened, and then we had, the show was over, I was able to talk with all of my former housemates, and I will say I have an incredibly well-maintained relationship with Alyssa. Me and her are very tight, and I was surprised. Me and Michael are tight. I thought everyone would just be over me because I did so many just wild moves. And everyone welcomed me with open arms and said, hey, listen, it's a game where no one's mad at you here. So I'm tight with Michael. I'm tight with Brittany. I'm tight with Alyssa. I felt very bad for Pooch. Pooch was one of my favorite people I have ever met in my life. And he doesn't mind that I voted him out week 1 or 2 or whatever it was. So I have equally maintained all my relationships outside the game. I was worried that they would all be just in the dirt, but I love everybody in the cast list, and I'm happy they all love me.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, man. I know you have a bunch of other things to get to in this absolute whirlwind of a day, but congratulations to making it to the finale day. Like you said, you are really priding yourself on what you were able to accomplish, which I think is just a healthy mindset to leave the house in. So all the best to you, to Megan, to the Rug Shack, and to all the shacks beyond the shack. And thanks so much, man, for talking with me tonight.
Oh, dude, thank you so much. I want you to know you were an incredible interviewer. I loved every single moment of this very short call, but you're good at what you do. So
Oh,
peace and
thank
love.
you. Listen, I'm feeling that social game already. All right, man. You have a good night. Thanks so much again.
Hell yes, dude. See ya.
Bye-bye.